everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back with another brand new video. Today's our video. We are here finally to discuss the players that we think will be leaving the football club this summer or winter or whenever the transfer window actually opens, so we can actually get back to playing some football. Now this is a video that's been heavily requested over the last couple of days, especially since last week when we announced that 6 players would be leaving the football club. So today is the day that me and thee have our say, and we discuss it down there in the comment section below. Now before we actually get to the old list then, shall I just want to confirm this is not the players that I want to go out because I don't like them or anything like that. It's not about that. We've done these types of videos before. It's just what we think is going to be happening in the summer months, and it's not about the players being crap or anything like that, because no one signs for this football club wanting to fail. They've all came here, worked their arses off, and whether they have made an impact or they've failed to make an impact, they've all given it a go, and players move on, ladies and gentlemen. That's part and parcel with football. So let's dive in and have our say on the players that we think will be moving on this transfer window. Starting off with a controversial one, especially considering the fact I made a video 6 weeks ago saying that this guy deserves a second chance at the football club, and by the way, I still stand by this despite everything I'm going to say and despite him being on this list. But the first one up on my list is going to be Jamie Murphy. Now if you've seen this channel before and you've heard me speak about Jamie Murphy, you know how much I rate this laddie, and I just want to see him in this setup under Steven Gerrard with the players that we have now, because I think he's so creative with the ball. He's just got that intelligence I think sometimes we lack to break down the 2 blocks say 4. I do think there is something there, but the way that he's been used is under Steven Gerrard, especially when he was fully fit, and the way that he was obviously loaned out in the second half of the season, does put him on this list for me, and I do think he will be leaving, especially considering the fact that he's only got 1 year left, and with how well he did down in that loan, I think Rangers may just cash in on him. But if he does leave in the summer, I want all of us to prepare ourselves, because if he goes down south again, he will start to tear the league apart, and we will be tagged in every single goal and assist and man of the match award that he plays in, just like in the second quarter of the season during his time at Burton, where he was absolutely spectacular, by the way. In 12 games he scored 7 goals and got 2 assists under his belt, winning numerous man of the matches. But going back to what I've already said already, despite all that, despite how well he played out on his loan, I do not see him forcing his way back into the setup at Rangers, and especially given how stacked we are at the left wing position, I think Jamie Murphy will be cashed in on. So yeah, let's move away from number 1 on this list because it hurts me right there. Moving on to number 2, and this one's going to be a lot more obvious, and it's going to be a hell of a lot shorter than the Jamie Murphy discussion, because I didn't want to sit here and absolutely bash the guy, because he is one of the guys that signed for the football club and worked his arse off, but so far it just has not worked in any shape or form. Now I'm of course talking about the English BB himself, Brandon Barker, and even I remember when we were linked with the player and then we announced it, we discussed it right here on the channel, and the reaction was very, very split to say the very least, and he had a hell of a lot of work today to win the fans over. Unfortunately, he was never quite able to do that. Me personally, I remember distinctly his game versus Porto away. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. The tireless work, the tracking of his man, the going forward, just the selfless running that he put in that game versus Porto. I went, that's it now. That's the game we'll be making on for Barker. Let's take it now. That's going to be the catalyst to turn everything around and go on the BB Express. But unfortunately, it didn't happen to that. Yes, he scored a goal versus Millwall, but it just became lesser and lesser as the season went on, and his impact was less and less. In fact, they actually finished the season off with only 12 appearances. Now granted, the season did end early, but the way things were going for BB and Rangers Football Club at that time, I didn't see him making many more appearances. But in those 12 games for Rangers, he scored 1 goal and only played 442 minutes, which, if you actually break it down, was averaging only 36 minutes a game, which I guess you could actually argue that he wasn't given enough of an opportunity or enough of a chance to shine in a Rangers shirt. That could be very interesting to discuss down there in the comment section below. But for me, going into the next season, I think BB definitely won't be there, but I do think we'll keep him on our books and we'll give him a loan. But moving over to the 3rd player on the list, it's actually going to be a player that I actually really like, and everything that we just pretty much said about Barker, about not being able to grasp his very limited opportunities in a Rangers shirt, I think this guy is the exact opposite of that, and did go ahead and grab the limited opportunities that he was given, and I'm talking about, of course, Mr. Greg Stewart. Now, some of you long-term viewers may be surprised that he's actually on this list, given how much I talk about him, and I actually think he has impacted games very, very well for Rangers, especially during that run where he seemed to come on and either get a goal or assist or be involved in the build-up for about 4 or 5 weeks straight. They just heard us all saying, play him, start him, he needs to be played. All you guys will be very surprised that I'm putting him on this list, but I think if you look at the tail end of the season, especially his dreaded start that he finally got that we were so excited about, but it was a very bad day at the office, let's say that, right? He got his start finally, it did not work at all. He wasn't able to hold the ball up, he wasn't able to run in behind, he offered nothing really going forward, being that out and out striker for Rangers. From the first whistle to the last, pretty much, he barely touched the ball when he was substituted very early in the game of football. And from that one moment there where Gerrard's post-match interview was a bit murky and everything like that, saying that some players played themselves further away. Now, I'm not saying that he obviously was talking about Greg Stewart or anything like that, but I'm just taking that into consideration, and what we saw after that, I do think that Greg Stewart will be moved on coming next season. But who knows, lads, maybe he will be a part of the setup next season, and he may actually be the right winger that Steven Gerrard may go with now that Ojo isn't there, and we've tried the other players and it's not quite worked out. And obviously when Hadji signs permanently, he will be played central, please. Anyway, lads, regarding Greg Stewart for his overall season stats, including a hell of a lot of substitute appearances, by the way, he played 24 games, he scored 3 goals and got 4 assists to his name, and no substitutions we talked about, by the way. Yeah, he was a sub 18 times of those 24. So to number 4 then, it's going to be another player that I like very, very much. In fact, you could say that he's a bit of a channel favourite, and it's none other than Mr. Glenn Middleton, who absolutely burst onto the scene and was doing Middleton hangs nearly every single time he was given a chance to play for Rangers, including that incredible performance away versus Spartak Moscow, which a lot of people have forgot now and seem to just completely forget, I should say, because of that shambolic defending that we done in that game of football. But one of the saving graces of that game was Glenn Middleton's performance versus a very, very good European side. But of course he wasn't able to replicate that form yet in his young career, and Gerrard said many, many times in his Rangers interviews and Rangers TV interviews that young players have these ups and these downs. That's what it is to be a young football player, finding your way in the game. And speaking of finding your way in the game, after spending the majority of the season before playing at the youth level, absolutely tearing it apart, tearing the reserve league apart, being a mainstay in a team that won 4 trophies at youth level and reserve level, it was decided that the next step up for Glenn Middleton was going to be a loan out so he can get consistent games and find that consistency playing the 25-30 games. And that is what led us to this season where he went ahead and signed for Hibs on loan, which was supposed to be a week in, week out scenario, but we all know that went absolutely mental, because not only did Hibs implode at the start of the season, but so did the prospect of Glenn Middleton playing every single week. And then in the second half of the season, or the second quarter of the season, he was obviously loaned down south, but again, he wasn't given any opportunity to play because of everything that's going on with the world right now. So it was a very stop-start season for Glenn Middleton, when it should have been a season that he was finally getting minutes at a top level. Now, I have absolutely no idea what the reaction is going to be towards Glenn Middleton, but to me, I still see that young lad who burst onto the scene, because he still is a young lad, he's still learning his craft, and I do think that we need to keep him because he's a throwback player. He's very reminiscent of Neil McCann, and no, I'm not saying he's as good as Neil McCann or anything, but that guy that's just going to run out wide and whip a cross in, we've not had a winger like that since Neil McCann. That's why the old comparison is there for me. And Glenn Middleton is that flashback player. He will run wide and whip a ball in every single time he gets opportunity. It's just finding that consistency that is his problem right now. So I'm actually going to say to keep him at the football club, but I think he will be loaned out next season to have what he should have had this season, and that is consistent game time. As we've made our way to number 5 on the old list, we have another loan. Spoiler alert in my opinion, and that is going to be McCrorie. But don't worry, it's not Ross, it's of course Robby. And this one's very interesting to me because right now, as it stands, after the moves we've made last week with Fordingham and Anik leaving the football club, our number 2 on the books right now is Robby McCrorie. He is the backup to Alan McGregor, and a lot of people are very excited about the prospect of maybe playing him in a couple of cup games next season, getting him used to playing, but I actually think he needs another season out on loan. And the reason I said that is because last season he was outstanding for Queen of the South. I mean, go and look at the reaction and the fans' response to that laddie, and go and look what he'd done in his short time at Livingston at the top league. Gerrard pulled him away from Queen of the South. It was a difficult decision, but they wanted to see how he would cope in the top division, and by God, did he do no bad. And as you could probably guess where I'm going with this, the reason I'm saying alone instead of keeping him as the backup to play an odd game here or there, I think is he needs that consistency as well, playing week in and week out. Very similar to a job we done years and years ago to Alan McGregor when we loaned him out to Dunfermline about a year and a half before he started to get in the old mixer for Rangers. I think that's what he needs. Again, he's had a couple of games now at the top division, played very well, an odd mistake now and again, finding his feet, but a full season at the top league, which looks very likely if he is to go back to Livingston, could be the making of this laddie and prime him ready to be the next goalie at Rangers. Now, just in case it comes up in the comments, who would be the number 2 then? Well, I think we'll bring someone else in, especially someone that plays for St Mirren. I'd be maybe looking at that one, ladies and gentlemen, keeping Andy Firth as the third option just in case he is needed. That's what I would go with next year. Send Robbie out there to get more experience at the top level, then have a look at it and see if that dreaded day that we're all absolutely terrified that Alan McGregor will hang up the gloves. Let's hope it's no next season. I want him to be here forever, but when he is deciding to make that decision, I think Robbie will be ready if it gets more top flight experience. Now, as we make our way to the number 6 spot on the old list, it's actually going to be the final spot, and it's not going to be alone this time. No. In fact, I'm actually going to end my list the same way I started it, with a very controversial pick. You may have guessed it, it's going to be Greg Docherty. I know lads, I love the boy Tay. Trust me, when he tweeted out that he was back at Rangers today, my heart fluttered, right? I was very, very excited knowing that he's back where I think he belongs, and that is at Rangers Football Club. But it's just one of these situations, just like with Jamie Murphy, despite everything I've said and despite me actually also putting Greg Docherty at number 1 on my list of players that deserve a second chance, I think the writing's on the wall. I think we all know what's going to happen this summer, and I think because of how well he did in the top flight of Scottish football, with so many people talking about him in our game right now, I think there will be an offer from Hibs, because we all know what they think of him, we know what the fans think of him. I mean, he had 8 goal contributions in 8 games for Hibs, absolutely strolled the league in that Hibs midfield, transformed it completely. I think they will come back in for him, and the way that he's getting used and the way that he's been used in his time at Rangers, I don't think we'll turn that down. But I'll tell you right now, I hope this one, like a couple of others on this list, I am completely wrong, and hopefully Greg Docherty can take that experience that he's just had at Hibs, that confidence, maybe the chest out, walking up with his head up instead of working so hard just to make it. Maybe if he goes in there like, aye, I can do it at this level, maybe he could force his way into the Rangers setup and get that opportunity and grab it with both hands. That's certainly what I hope will happen. But lads, again, it's no what I want to happen, it's what I think will happen, and that is going to be the 6 players I think will be leaving this summer. With everything I've just said, I cannot wait to hear what your opinions are down there in the comment section below. It doesn't need to be 6, it could be 1, it could be 2, it could even be more. Ladies and gentlemen, which may be a wee bit mental, but I'd be very interested to see what your thoughts and opinions are. But before we finish up today's video, I need to thank you for watching and tuning into today's video. I greatly appreciate you giving up a wee bit of your time in the day to sit here and talk to me and the nation down there in the comment section below. As always, I've been Siege over 92. Have a good one, lads. Stay safe and stay inside. I'll catch you in the next video, but bye.